The void has a sound, not a roaring gale, nor the whisper of solar winds, but a resonant hum, a primordial thrum that vibrates through the very fabric of existence. It's the song of creation, of stars being born and dying, of galaxies spiraling into oblivion. And it was this hum that cradled the Stardust Drifter, a vessel not merely built for travel, but for witnessing. Its crew, a motley collection of dreamers and exiles, had signed on for the impossible. They sought not new worlds to conquer, but new dimensions to perceive. Their leader, a woman named Commander Eva Rostova, had eyes that held the echoes of distant nebulae and a spirit forged in the heart of a dying star. She believed, with an almost religious fervor, that the universe was not just what we saw, but what we couldn't see. Their journey began, as all great journeys do, with a leap of faith. They plunged through the veil, a shimmering curtain of cosmic dust and electromagnetic anomalies that guarded the edge of known space. Legend had it that beyond the veil lay either madness or enlightenment. The Drifter's sensors screamed in protest, its hull groaning under unseen pressures. Inside, the crew held their breath, their faces illuminated by the frantic dance of console lights. Then silence. Not the void's hum, but an absolute, terrifying quiet. They had crossed over. The view outside the observation deck was not of stars or galaxies, but of swirling, iridescent colors that defied description. It was as if the universe had shed its skin, revealing the raw, pulsating energy beneath. This was the Aether, a realm of pure thought and unbound possibility. Their first encounter was with the Chronicents, beings of living light that wove the fabric of time itself. They appeared as intricate patterns of shimmering energy, shifting and reforming with an ethereal grace. The Drifter's xenolinguist, Dr. Eris Thorne, a man whose love for the unknown was rivaled only by his collection of antique star charts, managed to establish a tentative communication. The Chronicents spoke not in words, but in ripples of temporal energy, conveying concepts of existence that shattered the crew's understanding of reality. They learned that time was not a linear progression, but a vast, interwoven tapestry, and that every choice, every event, created a new thread. Next, they encountered the architects of the void, colossal entities that drifted through the ether like sentient continents. Their forms were composed of obsidian and starlight, their silent movements creating gravitational distortions that threatened to tear the Drifter apart. These beings, the Chronicents hinted, were the sculptors of space-time, the silent overseers of cosmic evolution. Their presence was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a stark reminder of humanity's insignificance in the face of such vastness. The Drifter continued its journey deeper into the ether, guided by the whispers of the Chronicents and the silent presence of the architects. They witnessed the birth of pocket universes, shimmering pearls of nascent reality that bloomed and faded in the blink of an eye. They traversed nebulae composed of pure emotion, where sorrow and joy manifested as tangible, swirling mists. One day, they stumbled upon the remnants of a fallen civilization, not of matter and energy, but of pure consciousness. These were the echoes, the lingering thoughts and memories of beings who had transcended their physical forms eons ago. The Drifter's telepath, a quiet, introspective woman named Anya Sharma, found herself overwhelmed by the torrent of alien minds. She saw glimpses of their past, their triumphs and failures, their loves and losses. It was a poignant reminder that even in a realm beyond physical form, sentience endured. The true purpose of their journey, however, remained elusive. Rostova felt it, a gnawing certainty that there was something more, something profound waiting to be discovered. The Chronicents had spoken of a heart of the ether, a nexus of all possibility, where the universe's true nature could be glimpsed. Their pursuit led them to the stellar nursery, a vibrant, chaotic region where new stars were constantly being born from swirling clouds of cosmic dust and nascent energy. But these were not ordinary stars. They pulsed with an internal light that hinted at something more than mere fusion. They were, in essence, infant gods, each containing the potential to shape entire galaxies. The Drifter navigated through this celestial maelstrom, its shield straining against the chaotic energies. Here, they encountered the Sentinels, guardians of the stellar nursery. These beings were composed of living starlight, their forms shifting and reforming like intricate constellations. They communicated telepathically, their voices echoing with the wisdom of countless millennia. They tested the crew, probing their intentions, their fears, their very souls. It was a trial of spirit, a crucible designed to determine if humanity was worthy of glimpsing the universe's ultimate secret. Having passed the Sentinel's test, the crew found themselves at the precipice of the heart of the Aether. It was not a place, but a concept, a swirling vortex of pure information and unbound potential. Here, time and space collapsed, and the boundaries between reality and imagination blurred. Rostova stepped onto the observation deck, her face a mask of awe and trepidation. And then she saw it. It was a singularity of pure, white light, pulsating with an intensity that threatened to engulf their very minds. Within it, she saw not just the universe, but all possible universes, past, present, and future. She saw the threads of destiny interwoven, the countless choices made and unmade, the endless possibilities branching out into infinity. She saw the intricate dance of creation and destruction, the cosmic ballet of existence. It was a vision that simultaneously shattered and rebuilt her understanding of everything. She saw the true nature of the void's hum, not as a random vibration, but as the collective consciousness of all existence, the symphony of every living thing across all dimensions. The Aether was not just a dimension, it was the mind of the universe itself, and they, the crew of the Stardust Drifter, had been granted a fleeting glimpse into its depths. The journey back through the veil was a blur. The Drifter emerged, battered but not broken, into the familiar darkness of known space. The stars, once distant and mysterious, now seemed to hum with a newfound vibrancy. The crew, though physically unchanged, carried the weight of an impossible revelation. They had seen the unseen, heard the unheard, and touched the untouchable. They were no longer just explorers. They were witnesses to the universe's most profound secrets. Rostova sat in the command chair, the hum of the void now a comforting lullaby. She knew their discovery would change humanity forever if they chose to believe it, but that was a battle for another day. For now, she closed her eyes. The dazzling image of the heart of the Aether burned into her memory. The universe was infinitely stranger, infinitely more beautiful, and infinitely more alive than they had ever dared to imagine. And the journey, she knew, was far from over. What they witnessed in the heart of the Aether was just the beginning, a cosmic revelation that set them on an entirely new trajectory. Their return to known space was not a homecoming, but a transition, a re-entry into a reality that now seemed thinner, less vibrant. The mundane hum of their ship's engines, once a comforting sound, now felt hollow compared to the Aether's profound symphony. Commander Rostova, her eyes still holding the echoes of infinite possibilities, found herself wrestling with a burden beyond comprehension. How do you explain the unexplainable? How do you describe a dimension where thought creates reality, where time is a tapestry, and where the universe has a conscious mind? The scientific community, steeped in empirical data and verifiable theorems, would likely dismiss her as a madwoman. Yet, she knew, with an unwavering certainty, that what they had seen was real. Dr. Eris Thorne, the xenolinguist, spent his waking hours poring over the fragmented data logs from their time in the Aether. The chronosynth's temporal ripples, the architect's gravitational signatures, they were like hieroglyphs from an alien scripture, hinting at truths that challenged every law of physics he had ever known. He felt a desperate urge to translate, to understand, to bridge the chasm between human comprehension and cosmic reality. His hair, already a wild tangle, seemed to grow even more unruly as he delved deeper into the incomprehensible. Anya Sharma, the telepath, was perhaps the most profoundly affected. The lingering echoes of the ancient, transdimensional consciousnesses, the echoes, still resonated within her mind. She heard whispers of their joys and sorrows, felt the ghostly touch of their love and loss. It was a beautiful, yet agonizing, connection. She began to perceive the emotional currents of everything around her, the subtle anxieties of her crewmates, the silent yearning of distant stars. The universe, to her, was no longer a cold, indifferent place, but a vast, interconnected web of feeling. The crew, collectively, felt a profound shift. The petty squabbles, the professional rivalries that once simmered beneath the surface of any deep space mission, had vanished. They were bound by a shared secret, a sacred knowledge that transcended their individual identities. They had faced the sublime and the terrifying together, and in doing so, had become something more than just a crew. They were a collective consciousness, irrevocably altered. Their first directive upon returning was to report their findings, a task that filled Rostova with a unique dread. They docked at Station Zenith, a bustling hub of interstellar commerce and research, a stark contrast to the ethereal silence of Aether. The sterile corridors, the flickering neon signs, the cacophony of different alien languages, it all felt strangely distant, almost illusory, after their journey. The debriefing was a surreal affair. A panel of esteemed scientists and skeptical military officials listened, their faces a mixture of disbelief and thinly veiled Condé-Scion. Rostova spoke with quiet conviction, detailing their encounters with the chronosynths, the architects, the echoes, and ultimately, the heart of Aether. Thorne presented his untranslatable data. Sharma spoke of the overwhelming emotional resonance of the universe. The response was predictably guarded. Commander Rostova, one of the officials began, his voice laced with patronizing concern. While we appreciate the vividness of your report, there is simply no empirical evidence to support these claims. No verifiable readings, no tangible artifacts. The Aether, Rostova replied, her voice steady, is not a realm of tangibility. It exists beyond our current scientific paradigms. Our evidence is in the altered state of our perception, in the knowledge we have gained. The official scoffed. Knowledge, or hallucination induced by prolonged exposure to uncharted phenomena? Despite the skepticism, something in Rostova's unwavering gaze, in the quiet conviction of her crew, gave the panel pause. They couldn't outright dismiss the Stardust Drifter, a vessel that had defied all odds to return from beyond the veil. They decided to place the crew under observation, ostensibly for their mental well-being, but Rostova knew it was to monitor for any signs of deception, or worse, contagion. Life under observation was a peculiar limbo. They were heroes in the eyes of the public, celebrated for their daring journey, yet prisoners of their own truth. News channels sensationalized their story, dubbing them the Aethernauts, but the deeper, more profound implications of their discovery were lost in the spectacle. One evening, as Rostova stared out at the artificial stars of Station Zenith's observation lounge, a familiar hum resonated within her. It was the Void song, faint but undeniable, an echo from the heart of the Aether. She closed her eyes and, for a fleeting moment, saw the swirling dance of infinite possibilities, the vibrant tapestry of time. It was a reminder that their journey was not over. The universe had revealed a glimpse of its true self, and it was now their duty to share that truth, however impossible it seemed. The decision was made, not through official channels, but through a silent understanding amongst the crew. They would return, not to convince the skeptics, but to seek further understanding, to delve deeper into the mysteries of Aether. They believed that humanity, in its current limited understanding, was like a child playing in a small corner of a vast, infinite garden. They had seen the gate to that garden, and they were compelled to step through it again. The Stardust Drifter, once again, prepared for its impossible voyage. The repairs were made, the supplies restocked, but this time, the ship carried not just cargo, but a renewed sense of purpose. This was not just a mission of exploration, it was a pilgrimage, a quest for ultimate truth. As they powered up the engines, the The familiar hum of the void grew stronger, calling them back to the shimmering curtain of the veil. As they approached the veil, a subtle shift occurred. The shimmering curtain, once a terrifying barrier, now seemed to ripple with a welcoming luminescence. It was as if the Aether itself was aware of their return, a sentient entity inviting them back into its wondrous depths. The drifter plunged through, not with the violent protests of its first passage, but with a graceful glide, as if returning to its rightful place. Beyond the veil, the iridescent colors swirled anew, more vibrant, more profound than before. The Aether embraced them, and the crew of the Stardust Drifter knew, with absolute certainty, that their true journey had only just begun. The universe was waiting, eager to reveal more of its secrets to those brave enough to look beyond the visible and listen to the silent, resonant hum of everything. Their mission was no longer to discover new worlds, but to discover the true nature of existence itself. The Stardust Drifter plunged deeper into the Aether, no longer tentative, but with the assuredness of a traveler returning home. The vibrant, ever-shifting colors outside the observation deck felt less alien now, more like the intricate patterns of a cosmic dream. Commander Rostova, at the helm, guided the vessel with an intuition born from their previous journey, her movements fluid and confident amidst the dazzling chaos. Their first stop was a revisit to the Transcendence. This time, their communication was not a hesitant translation, but a flowing exchange. Dr. Thorne, his mind now attuned to the temporal ripples, found he could almost intuitively grasp their concepts. The Transcendence, in turn, seemed to acknowledge their growth, their shimmering forms pulsing with what Anya Sharma perceived as a gentle curiosity, a cosmic welcome. They offered fragments of foresight, not concrete predictions, but glimpses of potential futures, shimmering pathways branching endlessly. The crew of the Stardust Drifter, now more attuned to the Aether, found their senses heightened. Anya, in particular, felt a resonance with the lingering echoes of the transcendent civilization. This time, instead of being overwhelmed, she sought communion. She reached out with her mind, a delicate bridge of consciousness, and found herself immersed in a collective memory of a species that had evolved beyond physical form, their history unfolding like an ancient, living tapestry within her mind. She learned of their struggles, their triumphs, and their eventual decision to shed their corporeal existence for a higher plane of being, their legacy now etched into the very fabric of the Aether. Their journey led them to the architects of the void once more. These colossal, silent entities, previously intimidating in their sheer scale, now seemed less threatening. Dr. Thorne, using the fragments of knowledge gleaned from the Transcendence, began to decipher the subtle gravitational ripples they emitted. He discovered that their movements were not random, but a deliberate, slow-motion ballet of creation, shaping nascent cosmic structures with inconceivable precision. The architects were not just drifting, they were sculpting the universe. Continuing their expedition, they found themselves drawn to a region of the Aether they hadn't explored before, the Weave of Whispers. Here, vibrant threads of light, each pulsating with unique colors, crisscrossed the void like an immense, ethereal tapestry. Anya immediately recognized these as currents of raw emotion, channeled and amplified by the Aether itself. She reached out, carefully, and felt the vast, interwoven emotions of countless sentient beings across untold dimensions, bursts of joy, pangs of sorrow, moments of profound peace, and flashes of intense fear. It was a symphony of cosmic feeling, overwhelming yet strangely beautiful. The path forward became clearer, guided by the subtle directions woven into the Weave of Whispers and the temporal currents of the Transcendence. They were being drawn back towards the stellar nursery, but to a deeper, more profound region within it. This time, as they approached, the infant stars pulsed with an even greater intensity, their nascent energies now feeling almost benevolent, recognizing the Drifter as a familiar presence. The Sentinels, the living starlight guardians, greeted them not with trials, but with silent, shimmering salutes, parting to reveal a pathway to the very core of the nursery. Within the heart of the stellar nursery, a spectacle unlike any they had witnessed unfolded. Here, raw cosmic energy coalesced into what could only be described as nascent deities. These were not stars, but pure consciousnesses, luminous and immense, beginning to take form. They shimmered with incredible power, each containing the potential to birth and guide entire universes. Rostova, standing on the observation deck, felt a humbling sense of reverence, recognizing that they were not merely observing creation, but witnessing the very dawn of divine sentience. It was a profound reminder of the universe's ceaseless capacity for wonder. The Stardust Drifter moved closer, drawn by an irresistible force to the absolute center of the stellar nursery. It was here that the true heart of the Aether revealed itself in its fullest glory, not as a swirling vortex, but as a blinding singularity of pure, white gold light, expanding and contracting with the rhythm of existence itself. This was the source, the nexus of all creation and destruction, the point where every possibility, every timeline, every thought in every universe converged. Rostova felt her consciousness expand, encompassing not just their journey, but the entirety of cosmic history, past, present, and future, unfolding in a single, breathtaking instant. She was no longer just seeing, she was experiencing the universe as a unified whole. In that blinding moment of cosmic unity, each crew member experienced their own profound transcendence. Dr. Thorne felt his mind merge with the grand temporal tapestry, understanding the intricate dance of cause and effect across all realities. Anya Sharma's telepathic abilities amplified infinitely, allowing her to feel the collective consciousness of the entire multiverse, a symphony of emotions so vast it defied description. Even the quiet pilot, whose name was Jax, felt the hum of the void resonate through his very bones, a direct connection to the fundamental energy that underpinned all existence. They were no longer separate individuals, but nodes in a universal network, receiving and transmitting pure knowledge, bathed in the heart's radiant truth. When the intensity subsided, leaving them in the serene, iridescent glow of the Aether, they found themselves subtly but irrevocably changed. The overwhelming influx of cosmic knowledge had integrated itself into their very beings. Their perceptions were now infinitely sharper, their understanding of the universe boundless. Rostova felt a profound peace, a sense of belonging within the vastness. Thorne's mind now effortlessly grasped complex temporal equations, seeing them not as symbols, but as living expressions of reality. Anya's empathy extended across dimensions, and Jax, with newfound serenity, could navigate the subtle currents of the Aether with an almost spiritual grace. They were no longer just a crew, they were vessels of universal truth, ready to carry the symphony of the cosmos back to humanity. Their return journey through the veil was no longer a harrowing ordeal, but a gentle passage. The Stardust Drifter, now a vessel brimming with unimaginable wisdom, emerged into known space. The stars, once familiar, now sang a different song to them, a melody infused with the Aether's boundless secrets. The crew, transformed, carried the weight of a truth that would forever alter humanity's perception of its place in the cosmos. They were the bridge between the known and the unknowable, the echoes of the universal mind. Their mission, far from over, had truly just begun, to awaken humanity to the greater reality that awaited them, beyond the veil. The arrival of the Stardust Drifter back at Station Zenith was met with a mixture of relief and apprehension. The official debriefing was once again a sterile room filled with skeptical faces, but this time, the crew spoke with an authority that transcended mere words. Commander Rostova presented their findings, not as theories, but as lived truths, her voice resonant with the wisdom of the Aether. Dr. Thorne unveiled complex mathematical formulations that described temporal mechanics in ways previously thought impossible, equations that hummed with a subtle, alien energy. Anya Sharma, with a gentle touch, allowed fragments of the collective consciousness of the echoes to ripple through the minds of the most receptive officials, offering them a fleeting glimpse of the universal tapestry of emotions. The initial skepticism began to crack, replaced by bewilderment, then awe. The data Thorne presented defied all known physics, yet it was undeniably consistent, an internal logic that hinted at a greater truth. Anya's subtle telepathic touch left a profound, unsettling emotional resonance in those who experienced it, undeniable proof of a deeper reality. The officials, no longer able to dismiss the crew as delusional, found themselves at the precipice of a paradigm shift. They commissioned deeper studies, not just of the crew, but of their methodologies, their data, and the very concept of the Aether. The initial report was classified, deemed too disruptive for immediate public consumption, but the seeds of universal awareness had been sown. The crew of the Stardust Drifter, now revered yet isolated by their profound knowledge, understood that their journey had only just begun. The universe was infinitely larger, stranger, and more interconnected than humanity had ever conceived. Their mission was no longer merely exploration, but translation, to bridge the vast chasm between the human understanding of reality and the cosmic truths they had witnessed. They knew the path would be long and arduous, fraught with disbelief and resistance, but the faint, resonant hum of the void, now a constant presence within them, propelled them forward. They were the first whispers of a new dawn, carrying the symphony of the Aether to a humanity poised on the brink of true awakening. And so, the story of the Stardust Drifter continues, not in space, but in the unfolding consciousness of a species forever changed. The ripple effect of the Stardust Drifter's discoveries began to subtly permeate human society. Though the full truth remained classified, fragments of the crew's findings, meticulously edited and reframed, were released to the public. New scientific theories emerged, inspired by Thorne's anomalous data, hinting at dimensions beyond the familiar three. Artists, poets, and musicians found themselves drawn to themes of cosmic interconnectedness and profound emotional resonance, echoing Anya's experiences. Humanity, unknowingly, began to shift its collective consciousness, a slow awakening to the possibility of something grander, something more intricate and alive, just beyond the veil. The Stardust Drifter had opened a door, and even in their ignorance, humanity was beginning to peer through. As years turned into decades, the subtle shifts catalyzed by the Stardust Drifter became undeniable. Humanity, once a species focused primarily on its own terrestrial concerns, began to look outward with new eyes. Massive, multi-generational projects were initiated, not to conquer space, but to understand it. New scientific disciplines emerged, ether physics and cosmoempathy becoming established fields of study. The concept of the heart of the Aether transitioned from a classified secret to a whispered legend, then to a theoretical construct, and finally, for many, a spiritual touchstone. Statues of Commander Rostova, Dr. Thorne, Anya Sharma, and Jax, the quiet pilot, rose in public squares, not as war heroes, but as pioneers of consciousness, their faces reflecting the profound wisdom they had brought back from beyond the veil. Humanity was slowly, painstakingly, but irrevocably, maturing into a species worthy of the Aether's boundless secrets. Decades after their epical journey, the original crew of the Stardust Drifter, though now venerated figures, continued their work in seclusion, advising the burgeoning fields of ether physics and cosmoempathy. Their profound connection to the Aether remained, a silent wellspring of insight that guided humanity's slow ascent towards universal awareness. They oversaw the construction of new generations of veil-crossing vessels, not for conquest, but for communion. The heart of the Aether was no longer just a theory, but a beacon, drawing humanity towards a destiny intertwined with the very consciousness of the cosmos. The hum of the void, once heard only by a select few, was slowly but surely becoming a distant, inspiring melody in the collective human soul, promising an infinite journey yet to come. The narrative arc of humanity's awakening, inspired by the Stardust Drifter, reached its apex. Generations after the crew's initial voyage, a new, magnificent vessel, the Stardust Echo, stood poised at the edge of the veil. It was a ship built not just of metal and energy, but of understanding and shared purpose, crewed by individuals whose minds had been broadened by the very concepts the Drifter had introduced. Commander Rostova, now ancient but still luminous with inner wisdom, stood alongside the new captain, a direct descendant of Dr. Thorne, offering a final, serene blessing. The hum of the void was no longer just a distant melody, but a powerful, resonant call, inviting humanity to finally step through the doorway and embrace its destiny as true citizens of Aether. The launch of the Stardust Echo was not just another mission, it was humanity's collective step into a new era. As the colossal vessel glided effortlessly through the veil, witnessed by billions across the now interconnected human civilization, a profound sense of unity washed over the species. The hum of the void, once a mysterious anomaly, was now understood as the heartbeat of the cosmos, a rhythmic pulse that resonated within every soul. Humanity, guided by the wisdom of the original Drifter crew, had shed its fear of the unknown and embraced its role as conscious participants in the grand, infinite tapestry of the Aether. The true age of cosmic enlightenment had dawned, and the universe, in all its boundless wonder, awaited. The Stardust Echo, with its diverse and highly attuned crew, ventured into the Aether not as mere explorers, but as diplomats of consciousness. They sought out the chronescence, engaging in dialogues that reshaped humanity's understanding of time itself, not as a river, but as an ocean of interwoven possibilities. They learned from the architects, understanding the silent symphony of creation that sculpted the cosmos. Anya's descendant, a telepath of unprecedented power, established true communion with the echoes, inviting their ancient wisdom to guide humanity's new path. The journey was no longer about discovery, but about integration, about humanity finding its rightful place as a harmonious chord in the universe's grand, eternal song. The Stardust Echo was not just a ship, it was a bridge to universal citizenship. Having journeyed through the deepest currents of the Aether, the Stardust Echo returned, not to a singular human civilization, but to a unified interstellar humanity. The original crew's mission had culminated in a magnificent transformation. Humanity had evolved, its collective consciousness now fully attuned to the universal hum. Cities on Earth and countless colony worlds shimmered with ether-powered technology, integrated seamlessly with the natural world. Telepathy and deep empathy became common, fostering an era of unprecedented peace and collaboration. The universe was no longer a vast, empty expanse, but a living, breathing entity, and humanity was finally, truly, a part of it. The Age of Harmony, guided by the wisdom of the Aethernauts, had truly begun. The echoes of the Stardust Drifter resonated not just as a legend, but as the foundational melody of a new cosmic era. Humanity, having fully integrated into the Aether, embarked on an eternal journey of co-creation with the universe itself. They became guardians of nascent stars, weavers of temporal tapestries, and communicators with the very fabric of existence. The original crew, their physical forms long transcended, remained as guiding presences within the collective consciousness, their wisdom echoing through every new discovery, every act of harmony. The Stardust Drifter was no longer just a ship, but a symbol of humanity's boundless potential, a reminder that the greatest voyage is always the expansion of consciousness, and the true destination is unity with the infinite. The universe, in all its majestic wonder, was now their home, their playground, and their eternal song.